Welcome to Salesforce for Architects and Developers. My name is Sam Adel. I'm an independent consultant doing mostly architecture work and some development work here and there in Sydney, Australia. This video is part one of a multi-part series of lessons, discussions, coding examples to get you comfortable with pushing ahead on your own architecting and developing applications with Salesforce without the type of mistakes that I made while I started learning it. I have been playing using Salesforce for the past 6 months because of specific changes, new directions at work, and having been through this journey, I found it very difficult to find the information that I needed to have, and especially in the architecture area of how to use Salesforce, the best fit for purpose, what we wanted to do with it. It was a bit hard to come with. There is quite a bit of information available about Salesforce, numerous videos, YouTube. There are some books, very good books, and especially the Trailhead training lessons from Salesforce are excellent. But none of these, in a summary, effective way, they complete the loop, bringing an end-to-end set of lessons or course together to show the one interested in learning more about Salesforce, how it works, how it should be used, and what it can and cannot do. So I put the series of videos together, and this is the first one of this series, and I hope it will be useful to you when you are either starting your journey or you are in the beginning of your journey to become a Salesforce expert. Before I start, I would like to acknowledge and thank all the assistance and tips that I have received from my colleagues, friends who are Salesforce experts, and without them it would have been even more difficult to bring all the info and knowledge related to Salesforce together in this set of videos. Thank you very much. I hope these videos would serve the purpose they are meant for. Thank you. Who can be benefited by these videos? The way I have gone about it is to make sure whether you're quite new to Salesforce or you have been using it to some extent, maybe more as a user or even as an administrator, just using the so-called declarative programming way of using Salesforce, or you have not had any experience with the latest versions or changes to Salesforce. For example, the Lightning version or the Lightning components that has kind of replaced the older classic version of Salesforce. Also, by the way, as we delve deeper into more programming aspects with Salesforce, I have assumed that you do have some knowledge of Java language or .NET or other programming languages. And well, one of the main goals of Salesforce is not to code. Let's see how it goes. And unlike perhaps other training videos or so, we will be discussing our architectural aspects of how Salesforce can be used. The different capabilities available in Salesforce would be discussed during these videos. Well, what are we planning to cover in this series of Salesforce videos? We will be developing a few sample applications. We are not going to be doing the trivial stuff, meaning if for a real situation that you have to repeat the same thing, I don't know, a number of times for different, say, fields or columns in a table, we just do a few of those just to get the idea and we move on. We will discuss and use Salesforce's Lightning Design System, Aura Framework, Visual Force Pages, Salesforce One application, Sites, not Site, Sites Cloud, and App Cloud, Sales Cloud, the way the MVC model view controller works in Salesforce, along with Lightning components, patterns. We will look into a schema design, and as I pointed previously, we will look at the limitations of Salesforce, Heroku, the new platform that extends Salesforce beyond what could have been done so far with Salesforce. We're going to look into licensing models, a few set pieces, web to lead, web to case, and the differences between elastic streaming model driven architectures, flow, workflow, and process builder, when to use which one. Napoli, we're going to have a quick look at it, and how Salesforce system design and documentation needs to be done. We're going to look into estimation of Salesforce-based applications and more. Hopefully you will be staying with us till the last video that we covered most of this, and we might even do more interesting depending on availability of time for me to create the necessary videos, maybe some GIS type applications, and definitely some web services. Anyway, let us start. Okay, the easy question to start with. What is Salesforce? The quick answer: it is something for salespeople. Well, it used to be. It was, I guess, 1999 that Salesforce was kind of became operational as a product, or became available, and it was put together with the idea serving the sales part of enterprises. And you hear about the Sales Cloud and other modules within Salesforce, of course, sales, marketing, leads, and so on. However, as a platform, Salesforce, which was really a pioneer in software as a service, before Amazon AWS or Azure, Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud became the in thing that they are, or they have become today. Salesforce was leading, providing a platform for developers to develop application for sales related activities, and really having no need for hardware of any shape or form. And time has gone by, and Salesforce as a company is now not sure should they keep the names sales anymore or not, because it is more than just for selling. The very latest versions of Salesforce has got a specific modular functionality for IoT, or Internet of Things, and shows clearly that Salesforce is not just about selling anymore. It is more of a platform, and some of the older names are gradually being replaced with new names. For example, I don't know, Force.com, bits and pieces are being replaced with the App Cloud, like app for application, building applications. And the way I have been using myself Salesforce with my colleagues has been more around building applications which have really nothing to do with sales. So let's not get bogged down, as I was getting bogged down with the term sales. It is not anymore about sales. However, the legacy of sales or functionality of sales related activities have remained in Salesforce. And it is a drawback and hopefully gradually Salesforce will get over and replace those with more generic capabilities. Let's start by creating a developer account if you already don't have one. The URL link that's shown on the screen, just copy that one, and the rest is straightforward. Here is the page with the link that I had in the previous slide. Would allow you to get user ID password for your Salesforce account. It is totally yours, and it has got almost all the functionality that the enterprise version of Salesforce has. And the good thing is that it doesn't expire after 30 days or so. I have been using mine for the past 5 months plus. And it has, as I said, every functionality that you would need in order to learn or do whatever you have to do. However, the way it limits this access to Salesforce not to be used or misused for commercial purposes, the number of records or objects can be created are limited. So you would need a proper license if you ever decide to use it in a production manner. Here is my own account, and I'm just gonna log in. This particular user interface or view that we are looking at is Salesforce's new Lightning view as opposed to the classic view. Soon we're going to have an unstructured, unplanned, really tour of Salesforce user interface or console, and we will get into the specifics of it more structured way after we finish this tour. Before we start our unstructured quick tour of Salesforce, as we visit different pages, sections, panes, and so on, we come across a specific vocabulary, and it becomes a bit painful just referring to terms that are unfamiliar to you. So let's have a quick review of some of the keywords. Perhaps there is another dozen or so that I haven't listed here, but these are the most common ones. And considering that you have got some programming, architecture work, the other areas that you have been working or doing your IT work, it should become straightforward and easy to get familiar with these terms. Okay, the object, uh, object or S objects, Salesforce objects. The equivalent is really table. However, it is not the one-to-one equivalent definition. There is more to objects in Salesforce than just a table. However, most of the time when you hear the term object, it means a table. But the tables are much more complex than tables, for example, in an Oracle database or SQL Server. Standard objects are those exact same table which I was talking about, but the ones that come built in or out of the box when you get your account with Salesforce. Custom objects are the ones that you create yourself, and as part of the sample application that we are building, you're going to see how custom objects are created. Fields are really columns, and usually in user interfaces, fields are used as holder of particular text or number or piece of data that needs to be entered. While in Salesforce, the objects or custom objects, they have got fields or columns. Records are rows of data in every table or every object, or a standard object or custom object. When you have got in, say, standard databases, Oracle, SQL Server, you have got related tables in the sense with they are linked through a foreign key. In Salesforce, the equivalent term or terminology is related records. Account, something legacy of sales or salesness type of functionality, that capability that Salesforce has had. The equivalent is an organization. Contact, really, it is a person, or as opposed to the organization that was an account. Contact represents a person. There is a bit of a intricacy between the two. In Salesforce, there could be contacts that are not linked to an organization. So contact could hold account can hold people as well, or contacts, and then you could relate, for example, the manager of a company to an employee by relating them through these two records in these two tables. You're going to see more of accounts and contact later on, but they're absolutely used in every application. User in Salesforce specifically is somebody who has got an account and has got its own table, has got its own detail. It is not necessarily a contact. Org is got nothing to do with organization, the way I was talking about the account. Org, perhaps the equivalent in other software packages is instance, for example, an Oracle instance, like a database instance, I meant. Org means an instance of Salesforce. When a company ABC purchases license to use Salesforce, that company is given a license for an org. And what it entitles the company to have the production environment plus a test and some development licenses or environments. So org is instance. And in Salesforce's world, instance is what is within an org. In an org, there are a number of instances: production instance, test instance, development instance. And an app is an application in Salesforce. Apex is the language or a scripting language, very similar or some similarities to Java language. And we know C# and Java are very close, relatively speaking. And Visualforce pages are built using Apex language with or without style sheets and so on. We're going to see more of Visualforce pages. In Salesforce, there is a lot of lightning, force, power, and so on. So just don't get tired of hearing those terms. Salesforce has been built with the Java language, and as most of or all of you know, the MVC pattern has been around for the past 10-15 years, and Salesforce uses that as the way it has architectured Salesforce. You're going to see more of MVC stuff as we discuss or build applications together. With the new version of Salesforce, the Lightning one, there are Lightning components. The promise is that you should be able to create or buy and share components that could be used in multiple applications. You're going to hear about tabs, which are kind of screens, and they are very closely related to objects or tables. Similarly, there are custom tabs. Sorry, one should have been a standard tab here. The other one custom tab, copy and paste issue. Uh, Views are more prominent in classic Salesforce and less in the Lightning version. Triggers are very similar to triggers in databases. Based on particular event, an action will be taken. For example, a change to a record in the database could cause maybe writing to another table, or a process to start, or something to stop, or some logs or audits to be recorded. Um, those of you who have worked on user interfaces, they could be horrendous. The level of effort that might go, especially in the Java area, with so many different frameworks around, and the devices. Layouts play a big deal. Horizontally, vertically, how different components on the screen are placed are determined by the layout. And of course, the UX, or user experience, that go with the layout. Salesforce applications are relatively easily available on mobile, so they are mobile ready. We're gonna here learn a little bit about domain setup, which is just internet domains, similar to the ones you buy, from $20 to, I don't know, maybe $100 or so, even more. Here it is made readily available, at least for development purposes. There are Visual Force components, there are Lightning components we talked a little bit already about. You're going to hear about Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, App Cloud, Community Cloud, Sites Cloud. There is or there was a Work Cloud as well, and so on. These are kind of different modules or capabilities that already come with Salesforce at different price tags, and they have got different uses. And when it comes to architecture, when you use which one becomes a big deal, because it could make a big difference to the sponsor of the project or system. Salesforce One is more about the mobile readiness of Salesforce application or user experience, and we're going to hopefully build at least one mobile app, or one app that is more useful for mobile devices. Or a framework, relatively new, and goes with the Lightning components. We're going to hear more about those. Salesforce Lightning Design System. I spent almost a month working on Aura, but I should have spent that time on SLDS. And however, the knowledge gained hasn't been wasted, and we will see more of both of these in this video series. A style sheet goes with the SLDS. Heroku is extension outside of Salesforce to stop some of the developers that they say they can do this, they can do that with Salesforce. Now they can do all of those with Heroku. It is an open platform, and you can do practically anything you want to do. But again, architecturally becomes questionable. Is that the best way to use Heroku with Salesforce, or just forget about both of them and just use something else? And declarative programming, which is about clicking, dragging, dropping, is mostly clicking, and configuring application. For example, one of the big things that most applications these days would require is to be able to quickly send emails because something has happened, informing the customer, or when the customer sends an email, capturing the content of the email. All of those can be done through triggers or this declarative programming, which is, as I mentioned, a big deal in when you want to do it in third generation programming languages. All right. Okay, here comes our unstructured tour of Salesforce. Just don't get annoyed by jumping from one thing to something else. This is to get the mystery out of Salesforce's user interface or console, so you know where to go as you are experimenting, until we more specifically focus on building our applications together. After you successfully log into your account, your developer account, this is the screen that you would see. This is the Lightning view or version of Salesforce. The classic version that I spent almost 2 months with that, you can change to that by clicking here and the picture of your profile, switch to Salesforce Classic. And you can see it looks very different. And if in here has got the reminiscence of my um, playing with Salesforce. Here I go with the accounts table. What was the accounts for? Was the organization or so? And here we have got just two companies, Nova Services and Edge Communications. Now, as opposed to spending too much time with this, we will come back to this view or classic view. Let us switch back to the Lightning version. And I believe you have to go to where your name is and you switch to Lightning Experience with the rainbow. Okay, when we got back here, it has brought me to the home. This particular home page is what I have put together and is not necessarily what you would be seeing. And this is one of the key areas that here, if you click on, you will see Launchpad or the applications that you have got access to. And for example, I don't know, service or service cloud. It has got the contacts, the company. We just said that there are only two in this system. Sorry, accounts, and the contacts. There is only one, and I can create another contact if I want to in here, new. And cases have a prominent place in Salesforce. Um, you can build a specific application which are around the processing of cases, and specific characteristics go with case type applications. Kind of process management along with the covering a case from its beginning to its life cycle. Okay, hovering around a little bit, we had the profile in here, and one of the key menu items that we're going to use a million times in this is this here, the cog and or the gear and the setup. Practically, the setup takes you to the menu that you can do whatever most probably you have to do to build applications, to configure them, and so on. While I was going through the tutorials, then I was following step by step the instructions there. Only later on I learned that the quick find would take you to difficult to navigate or find the menu items. There are hundreds of functions or menu items that are available in Salesforce, and they're all hidden under the functionality here. And there has been a reduction or reclassification of some of these, but if you go to the classic view, you see much more. It is harder to find things, but you don't really need to suffer because you can use the quick find to find anything that you are after. For example, for a schema, just type a schema and a schema builder would come up and would allow you to do whatever you have to do in terms of a schema. You want to go back, just go back the browser, or you have to go to the setup. Now, what else would be of use to know? We talked quite a bit about objects. I can get into objects here. From here it says explore objects, or I could just put type here object, and it has got object manager, and all the objects or tables, they are here. Um, from the account, organization, to contact person, they're here, plus your own ones. We're going to be building together a mining application, and this is the table that we're going to be using. And as I mentioned, the user table is different from just individuals in the account system. Okay, if we, I guess, for a particular object or a subject or subject, say the account, which is really at the heart of Salesforce, in a vertical fashion as you go down the page, you see lots of things related to this particular object or table. And here is a quick menu to jump to the particular section below, or these are anchors for or links, hyperlinks to those anchors. Here, overall, the higher level, the details of the table. These are the fields or columns in the table, and I just jump to, we talked about the layouts. This particular table has got different layouts, and triggers, which we talked about. There is no trigger at the moment for this one, and of course this there are specific access rights to this table, which is about profiles or roles, that we will talk about those later on. The other usually used point is here, this menu item. I mentioned before, service, you could get to where you want to get at, and that is one way of viewing what is available in a particular table or object. And however, if you have to look into the data of a particular table and there is no application for it, these are different applications for it, you can find it down here. For example, contacts. And here is the contact. We should be able to see the detail view. It took us to a customization which I have made myself for this. I can see 3 records, and perhaps there is more, which we will look at them the later session. If I switch back to the classic view, and sorry, if I look at the other tabs available, for example, contacts that we just looked at, here it says create new view, and if I go to create new view, I call it test view, and the unique name test view should be okay. This is all contacts to be visible. What do you want to see in this view? I have got currently just name, account name, title, phone, email, etc. I can add a few more. Just pass them on, report to, mailing street, mailing city, and let's just settle for these. And I guess that is it. If I save this view, then I'm able to see the list of contacts that has come automatically as part of the the setup that I received when I logged into Salesforce, or I was given an account, a developer account. I have not created these customers except the or contacts except a few of them. All right, so what we see up here, like supplies, resources, etc., these are different tabs, and it is possible to change this view to add the additional tabs. The app launcher, those rectangular shaped boxes that we saw in the lightning view, they are kind of available from app launcher here. Sales, service marketing, community, etc. If I go, I don't know, to service, there isn't much here. This is what I have been playing with, and some of the other details like the calendar of activities I care about and the tasks that I want to do and so on are here. Now let us for a moment we just stop here. This is we got an account, and here is the user interface that we see. What is this? This is for whom? This is for the end user. This is for developer. What is expected to be seen? This has got all sorts of things in it that most probably the user wouldn't care. So it has to be customized. Uh, if this is the back end, where is the front end? Clearly, this is very different from a Java or .NET development environment that the developer has got complete freedom of what to build, how to build things, and has to build what the officer would see in the organization versus the customer or client would see coming through the pages outside, available outside the organization or through the internet. So it is not obvious that what I could do or get with it, especially if I'm given this even as a senior developer and architect, there is very little I can do. It seems is more like Excel that you could Excel spreadsheet you could create columns, tables, etc., and spreadsheet sheets and put the data in it and get some reports. And what about getting out and build a real application with it? Okay, that is the purpose of our next video that we're gonna have. Okay, here is our classic view. So now I have got both of them open. Again, I go back to this service. And if this would be the contact here, Salesforce Classic, contacts here. This is the recently viewed one. Okay, enough playing with the Salesforce user interface. Let us have a quick review of the terms that we're going to be dealing with just for 1 minute, and then we're going to start building the application that we want to build together. Thank you. Please look for part 2 of this series of videos.